Hello YouTube, in this video we're finally going to take a look at how to set up your Thrustmaster Ferrari Racing Wheel Red Legend Edition with Euro Truck Simulator 2. As you can see, I already opened up the game. In order to set up the controls, we're going to go to Options, and then we're going to go to Controls, and open up the Input Wizard. Let's just start from scratch. Now, select Controllers, Steering Wheel, and now you can choose from Simple Automatic or Real Automatic. Like it says here on the side to Real Automatic, it's ideal for wheels with pedals. So let's just use that. Now we need to make sure that the wheel is operating correctly. So let's start with the steering axis. It's supposed to be the joy x-axis. Let's make sure that the steering wheel is completely centered by turning the wheel to the right. The right hand side of the bar should become filled. And if you turn the wheel all the way to the left hand side of the bar should be filled completely. If this doesn't happen, you have to make a slight adjustment to the steering axis dead zone, that is the bar beneath it. Now let's go to the acceleration axis. Click on the button and then press the right pedal on your pedal module. If you press the pedal, the bar should fill. If you release the pedal, it should become empty again. If this doesn't happen, you need to manually set your acceleration axis mode to inverted. You need to do this because otherwise, if you release the pedal, you will, floor it. And if you press it again, you will release the pedal, in the truck at least. So it has to be inverted in order to make it work correctly. That's just the way this controller is detected, so keep that in mind. Do the same for the brake axis, that is the left pedal on your pedal module. Do not turn these around, because in real life the right hand pedal is always the throttle and the left hand pedal is always the brake. Unless you of course have a normal car with a clutch pedal, and that would be the most left pedal, and the brake pedal would be in the middle. Anyway, let's continue on. We do not need to set a clutch pedal because the Ferrari Racing Wheel does not have a third pedal for the clutch, so we can ignore that. Let's click next. Now we need to make sure that the shifter function is working properly. Those are the tiny little pedals on the side of the wheel. I will zoom out here a little bit. Of course, I mean these things here, these flippers. So at least you know what the hell I'm on about, and I'm not on any kind of weird drugs. Now, for the shift up motion, we're going to use the right flipper, which says up on the steering wheel. And to shift down, we're going to use the left hand pedal, which also says down on the steering wheel itself. Now this is done. You can finish the wizard. And for the other things, we have to move to the keyboard section of the input menu, because we have to manually set the joy buttons on the steering wheel for different functions in game. The first thing that we need to look at is the start-stop engine button. For this, I will actually move the camera towards the wheel so we can actually take a look at what we are adjusting. Note that I will not be looking at the screen anymore, so you need to do that yourself. So let's click on the start-stop engine in the game and now press the home button on the steering wheel. This is the button that I use to start the engine of the truck. Now let's go to the parking brake button. I use the ST button on the steering wheel for this. If you're in a real truck, it would generally be on to the right of your steering wheel. Unless you drive a UK truck, then it would be on the left. It just makes sense to have it on one side of the wheel. Now, let's see. The next thing that I have set is the left turn indicator. I use this button here, which says L3 on the steering wheel. In a real car, you would usually have a stalk here to the left hand side of the steering wheel, and if you press it down, it will mean that you indicate to the left. If you put it up, it indicates to the right. So that's the logic that I'm following here. So the button on top, the L2, is for the right turn indicator. For the hazard warning lights, I use button number 4. That is this one here. Because usually when you're in a truck, it's always somewhere in the middle and on the top of your dashboard. So that's why I use this button. For the different light modes, I use the SE button, or at least that's what it looks like. That's this one here. No particular logic about that one, I just need it to be set somewhere. Now, for the high beam headlights, I am using D-pad up. May sound a little weird, but you don't have a hell of a lot of buttons here, and these special functions really need to be accessible when you're driving. So I decided to set it to this one. I do not have a key set for beacon, but your mileage may vary. If you use beacons a lot, then you can just set up a hotkey for that as well. For the horn of the truck, I use D-pad down. So press that, and it's set. For the windscreen wipers, that's the next control that I have set on this steering wheel, I use the, let's see, what is that? The 3 button. This one right here. Usually when you drive a car, the right hand stalk on the steering wheel is for your windscreen wipers. Usually when you turn it up, this may vary per car, you throttle up the windscreen wipers. So pressing this twice will actually increase the speed of the wipers in game. Cruise control is joy button 0, at least that's what the game calls it, but I use the button number 1. That's this one. This is usually the spot on a truck where the cruise control is located, at least in the DAF trucks. I've driven a couple of DAF, XF and CF trucks, and it was usually located on this side of the steering wheel if I remember correctly. So that's why I put it here. Let's see, what else do we need to set here? Nothing really. Just scroll down all the way until you find camera controls. I have one button set for the interior camera. And I believe that is this one, yeah. It's here on the top right. This is the R2 button. What I use these buttons for is to, for one, always go back to the default seating position. That is this one for the default camera. And this one is to lean out of the truck during parking. So this is the lean camera. So if we move down to lean out camera, we can set it to the R3 button. And what this will do is you will, when you're going to park your truck or your trailer in this case, press this button and you will automatically lean out so you can see what is happening. Because I don't have track IR or anything like that, I actually need to manually set this. Because usually when I'm going to look for left and right, I use these buttons on the D-pad. That works very well, I have to admit, but it's not as quick, so it takes a while to look around. And that's not very convenient when you're parking your trailer. So that's why I use 2 dedicated buttons for the camera modes, and I use the R2 and the R3 buttons for that. R2 for default camera position, and the R3 for the lean out camera. So, now, like I said, for looking left, I use the left button on the D-pad, and for looking right, I use the right button on the D-pad. These are also options in-game. And we still need a button to attach and detach the trailer, or otherwise you would have to reach for your keyboard all the time for that. I use the, what is that? The 2 button on the steering wheel right here. And that is all that you need to do in order to set up your Ferrari Racing Wheel Red Legend Edition for Euro Truck Simulator 2 in a similar way that I have. Happy trucking, as Curl would say. And hope you enjoyed this video, and I thank you all for watching.